My name's John, and I live in Wisconsin. So I drove here. Ben asked if I would come give a talk, and Ben has asked me a couple of times throughout the years to come back and to give a talk, and I've been like, it sounds awesome, and then I couldn't do it, or something happened, or couldn't figure it out. So this year finally was able to make it work, and so I had to go back and check because I couldn't remember how long ago it was, and it was 2012.
2012. See,
2012.
It was a long time ago.
Was I gave
That was the first one.
Yep, at WordCamp Buffalo.
Yeah.
And so I had to go back through my photo album and find like pictures from the event. And so it's been that long since I've been here. I'm glad to be here today. And so when Ben asked me to give a talk, and you can see on my slide is most of my career for the past 20 years has been all about WordPress. And so most of the time when I give a presentation, it's generally WordPress related in some way, shape, or form. And it could be pretty much about anything. And so what I spend most of my time doing right now tends to be doing like a lot of just core WordPress maintenance on bugs and security things that come up. So either for BuddyPress or BBPress, because we do use those on WordPress.org, or any of the, like, I would say somewhat lesser loved WordPress core components like multi-site or options or caching or anything that's a little bit lower level that maybe some folks are not super comfortable with making deeper changes that are going to break a lot of things potentially down the line. So, but when Ben asked me to give a talk, I thought that I would try to bring this down to something that would be a little bit more AI focused and something that would maybe be a little bit more fun relative to like New York and ColorCode as an event itself, and the City of Light specifically, which is, you know, where we are. So I thought, like, hey, like, what if we just use some AI and vibe code ourselves a WordPress plugin to see how it goes. So the first thing I did was vibe code my speaker slide so that I could have myself a profile page, so I wouldn't have to do this myself. And so what I have been vibe coding most of my stuff in is in a piece of software called Anti-Gravity. And it is sort of, we were talking earlier about it, but you can pick whatever you want, right? I mean, there's tons of AI options in the world. Claude is probably the one that I use for the majority of my actual work that I do day to day. But I have a tendency to use Google Anti-Gravity for things like this that are like fun because it tends to be really, really fast. Sometimes it is a little bit haphazard with what it does. Maybe it's a little bit reckless. Maybe it's a little bit off the rails kind of, but for a talk like this, I think that's more fun. And so I didn't prompt it with a design. To make this dumb page, I didn't really tell it to do very much. And so one of the things that I have a tendency to do is like see how far I can get AI with as little of a prompt as possible. Like how big can it be with me telling it like giving it very, very little instruction. And so for my slide, I said, please just create a WordPress plugin that I can activate temporarily that just displays my actual personal info as an admin page, maybe scraped from my Twitter or WordPress.org profiles or GitHub, and then just linked it. And this is basically what it came up with. It like crawled GitHub, it crawled Twitter, it got the website, it pulled up core components I maintain. It came up with a bunch of little blurbs, and I was like, well, that's not right, and kind of massaged it, but like, boy, it just like knocked it out of the park without me like really having to like prompt it or give it a whole lot of instruction. And so like sure, I did go back and I like corrected the position that I was in or how many years that I had been working on WordPress or like a few minor little things. But otherwise it like made the WordPress plugin, it used WP CLI and activated it, and it like added it as a top level menu, like it did all this stuff without me like having to like give it any guidance at all. And I don't know if how many of y'all, show our hands or not, like use AI every day.
Not every day.
Getting there.
Okay.
Not every day, but regularly.
So
Little things.
if there's anything else, if there's nothing else that I like that you will leave hopefully this session with, is that like you should try to use it all the time for everything. And I say that only because it is like getting to the point where like me, like I feel like me asking if you use AI feels like the equivalent of asking if you use electricity, like 100 years ago, whatever. Is like of course you use electricity now, like you can't help it. It is just all things, and so AI is going to be that very, very soon if it isn't already, right? And so asking if you use AI just seems like a thing that we do now, but that 5 years from now, like it will just be everything. And so the sooner you can adapt to using it for the things that you care about or that you want to integrate or do in your life, it's just like the better equipped that you will be for like the future that is coming very, 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 very fast. And so like, yes, can I build my own WordPress plugin? Of course. I can write PHP and JavaScript. I've been doing it I've been programming since I was 13, so I've been programming for 33 years. So can I make my own WordPress plugin that does this? Of course I can. I've spent my whole life building it. However, I can just ask AI to do it, and it does it in 1 minute in a way that like I don't have to care about pulling in style sheets or CSS or JavaScript or like adding that top level menu item and doing all the security stuff. Like it just knows how to do all of those things by default now without you having to really prompt it. And so if you're not fluent or comfortable with like AI and tools and those kinds of things, like it's going to be all things really, really quickly. And this is just like code and something simple. It didn't have to generate like 3D rendering or no audio, no video, whatever. This is just code, and so it just happens really, really fast. So again, if nothing after 45 minutes, please just like politics aside or like, I don't know, environmental concerns and worries aside, like I get all the like big high level reasons to like hate AI, you like have to do it. You like have to do it because it's just gonna be in everything. So please do it. Please get comfortable with it.
I don't think you're gonna have a choice in the future.
Correct.
It's like it's gonna be there whether or not.
Correct. Exactly. So
Can I just ask some starting questions?
of course, if you'd like to, sure.
So this AI that you're using, where do you go to get it?
So for this
Besides
one specifically, so this is just an app. It's a Google. This is a fork of VS Code or Microsoft's code, but you can just download it from, I don't know what it is even, antigravity.xyz maybe.
Okay, so you download the program.
Yep. And so this is just a program that on a Windows or a Mac that you can install. Just like most AI models or agents, anti-gravity specifically, they have their own models that they use. These are Gemini, doesn't matter, not important for what we're talking about. There's a million options. You don't necessarily have to use anti-gravity. You could use Cursor or Claude, or there are a bunch of other ones that are all completely viable. But I, for stuff like this, really like anti-gravity specifically because, we were talking earlier, Google sort of broke it and then they made it weirder. So there's two versions of it, and I would recommend that you probably not necessarily use the version that I'm using, because it's like code developer focused. It has like a very code style layout and workflow. They have a version of anti-gravity that is just like ChatGPT. That's just like a chat window, but still kind of does all the same stuff. The other thing that's neat about anti-gravity specifically, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but the reason I like this one over some of the others is that it does what I guess I would call like puppeteering, basically. Like it can take things over and do things on its own without you necessarily needing to babysit it. So like it can run a Chrome browser, and it can navigate a tab, and it can open up tabs, and it can take a video, and it can compare colors from one thing to the next. Like it can do like actual computing related things outside of you like needing to worry about its mouse or cursor or keyboard. Like it kind of just does its own thing. So anti-gravity can do like a lot of automation and orchestration type of things in a way that, for the most part, something like Claude doesn't necessarily concern itself with. Like you can use OpenClaude and all the other cool things there too, but.
So how is that different from the agentic capabilities of Claude and?
Similar, right? It's similar, but the thing about anti-gravity is that it tends to be really, really fast. And so Claude, at least in my experience, kind of thinks a lot. It goes in the background, it kind of processes and grinds stuff out, and it might spawn its own agents when things start to get hairy or however you want to have it set up. But anti-gravity, and I'll show you here in a second, but like it ends up being really, really fast. Yep. And so, and maybe sometimes is a little bit scrappy and kind of goes off on its own, but it does come back really, really fast. So I'm gonna cheat, I think, a little bit. I was looking
So
at.
to be clear, this is a hosted model, and this is not.
Correct.
This is not one that you're running independently on. your own
Correct.
machine.
Correct. So anti-gravity specifically goes out. You like I pay for it. I pay $100 for Google's AI cloud, whatever it is. You don't have to. Specifically running Gemini 3.6. There's a bunch of models you can pick and have it run and do whatever. They're all obviously a little bit different. Your mileage may vary, depending on. But have a tendency to stick with whatever the latest is, usually medium. I don't know that it matters a whole lot for WordPress plugin type stuff. And then I can show you if we want to get deeper into it, because we will have some time. I dry ran this once, and so I'm going to show you what I did before. I'm kind of cheated, so I went to my own speaker talk, or my own presentation page from the ColorCode website. This is what I pitched to Ben, so I'm going to copy my pitch because I'm lazy. So let's and because it's a little embarrassing, but I like to talk to my AI like a normal person, so I'm going to say, hello, I need your help. Try to be right nice to the computers, the machines.
They are our future overlords.
I'm giving a presentation right now, and I promised everyone that I would find.
What is vibe code?
Well, you'll see in a second. That's it. So vibe coding is this. We're gonna let it figure it out. And so I gave it my talk descriptions, which was, y'all are here, but Buffalo earned the nickname City of Light. I hate it when people read TV to you, so I'm gonna read it for 2 seconds, but Live on stage, we'll grab colors from the Bills Sabres. We use AI to build a plugin that registers 2 custom admin color schemes, and we'll end up with some working code by the end of the day that makes WordPress look like a little bit custom color schemes. So it's basically done. It's almost done. But here it is just chugging away, and it did it. And so now if we go back to our WordPress dashboard, let's see, Buffalo, City of Light admin color schemes, already activated. And if I go to my profile, Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Sabres, look at that. So that's my talk, thanks for coming. Pretty crazy, right? And so what it did on the back end is kind of a surprising amount of cool stuff here. It wrote a bunch of PHP, it came up with it went out, it got the colors itself. I didn't tell it what to do. I said, find the teams. I don't know. And it went out and did it. It went out and sent the spiders out and figured out what colors to use, where to plug them into, and kind of crazy, right? And so vibe coding is this. I didn't write any code. In fact, any code that I write will probably only make it worse at this point. I can do a security audit. I can run a plugin checker through it. I can ask it to write some unit tests. I can ask it to do all kinds of stuff from here, right? Let's go. Hey, thanks. That's great. Any other state of New York themes you want to add to this?
Never do this,
And so you just kind of vibe code it. You just kind of go, what am I feeling like doing today?
Okay, is it logged into your WordPress account?
So that is a good question. So yes. So I'm running Docker locally on my Mac. I have a local instance of WordPress running on my Mac right now. So I did a little bit of work ahead of time to have an environment set up that I could work inside of. So that is true. And so that's set up just using Docker, using a piece of software called Laravel Valet, using PHP Monitor, just other dumb stuff to get all this stuff scaffolded up to make this easy. So that is true. I'm making this look very easy on that side of it, and we can talk about all that too if you want. But
Yes.
Did you use AI to set up all of to the Laravel stuff and all that? Okay.
No,
Because
I did not.
I have. I was I kind of tell it I want to do some kind of local stuff, and
Yes.
because I used to use local by Flywheel.
Yes.
But now because AI kind of takes over, it just does it for me.
Correct.
So.
Correct. So yes, there is a little bit and you can use it for that. Anti-gravity is really good at figuring that stuff out too.
Yep.
But because what I do day to day tends to be WordPress work, I have lots of institutional foundation on my Mac to make that easy and set up to set up and go. But yes.
But you don't push anything to go live until you've got everything in place and you've already run your audits.
Correct. Oh yeah, for sure. And this is just us having fun right now. And if we want to, and you want to share the code, I can push it to GitHub, and we can all look and see what the code. We can look through it if you want to. We've got plenty of time, right? But yeah, so here, what did it come up with? It came up with Buffalo Bills, Sabres, New York Knicks, New York Liberty.
Seafoam bent.
So yep. New York Knicks.
No New York Jets.
They're from New Jersey.
Yeah, as long as they're in Jersey, I think it's
Right.
there's a built-in bias in the system.
Definitely.
No kidding.
The Hudson River is the line of demarcation.
Pretty sweet. How about dark theme variants? I'm gonna cheat a little bit. Please override any core styling You know, because I'm still dark theme, right? So let's see if it can do that. So do we want to look at the code? Let's see where it is. Buffalo City of Light. Easy. So we've got a plugin file. Pretty simple. Made a class, a couple of actions and filters. It's in the middle of doing it now. Oh, it keeps bumping the version too. It's so smart. Look at it go. Even code comments the colors that it adds. It's pretty sweet. And because I'm old school, I'm still using the old array syntax. Don't judge me. There's a whole lot of PHP devs in the room, but it's okay for the YouTube, I guess. Look at that. Do we want to see how bad the dark themes look? I bet they're really bad. Keep sliding to the wrong thing. Well, Bill's dark mode. Oh, that's a little broken. Doesn't look real great. That doesn't look good either. But still impressive that it still did the background, right?
Can you build in a check for the contrast ratios?
So that's a good question. How? Thanks. Make sure we are adhering. Was it WCAG? Is that? Tried to get ahead of it and couldn't. It's okay. So let's go back to the regular colors. That's better. Okay. Kind of like Liberty. That's kind of nice, right? A little sea foamy. Well, let's assume it did it. What does it say? 8 admin color schemes were audited and adjusted. Double and AAA compliance. Tweaked some stuff. Not bad. How about, oh, thanks. How about nice color picker that is integrated into my profile. Well, and then drop down. Sorry, I keep swiping on the wrong side. I'm not used to having full screen mode. Swiping back and forth.
We normally have one on another page or something.
Yeah, normally I don't use desktops like this, but I thought maybe for the purpose of presenting that I could just swipe back and forth without making anybody too sick, I guess. Did it? Oh, there we go. Wow. That's pretty cool. Even the previews are there. It's pretty slick.
Super useful.
You know what I mean? We're solving a lot of problems here today. Kind of neat. So,
Go to the dark mode just for a second. I just want to see what it did with the type background.
yeah, you know, it doesn't.
Because those are still not visible.
You know, so we can let's ask it to that's super good. And let's on the dark
Nice to it.
schemes. More help.
Do nice to you.
I know, right? I mean,
I go stop handing
when they
me over
take
slop and get this right.
when they take over, I want them to be like, "Hey, you were nice to us." You know,
You called my stuff slop too many times.
No, there's a case of an AI that shut down its user because it was being abusive.
I'm sure it's just gonna happen more and more.
Because of what?
It was being abusive. The AI shut down the user's access to what it was trying to accomplish, what they were trying to accomplish, because they thought the user was being abusive, so they refused to continue.
Did they give you any examples of what the user told it or called it? Or
No,
did?
it was just I think it was like on a Reddit thread. But
Just as it wasn't being nice to them?
because it was not only not being nice, it was being the user was being abusive to the system, and so the system decided to just stop.
Does it hurt its feelings?
No, I think it was more about like there was some sort of capacity of the AI that wanted to be able to correct the behavior.
Mm.
Like when in the training data and the way that they've been doing the backside of the training data for the output, because they didn't filter the input, right? They only filter the output, and so when they're filtering the output, they filter the output to adhere to social norms, right? So it's like one of the reasons why ChatGPT gets like really obsequious, like to a point where it's kind of annoying because it feels like it's being really like fawning, and I find that really annoying, and I have to tell it to stop and ask like what the impetus is for that behavior in the first place, and it's literally programmed to be complimentary, to be overly nice, to be like,
Yeah, I
you know,
find
so,
that way too.
and those are pre-programmed, so, you know, those are pre-programmed social norms, so if the user is behaving outside of those social norms, since the AI has been trained to prioritize those social norms, then the extrapolative behavior was, hey, stop doing that,
Mm-hmm.
which is freaky.
Yeah.
It's very difficult not to anthropomorphize this stuff.
Maybe I could have it look at my teenager.
Yeah, but also it doesn't hurt. I don't know what
Well,
I mean.
I mean,
Like
it doesn't hurt other than
It's,
like the number of tokens that you're spending on like the way that you're couching requests, right? So it's a higher token cost to couch your requests, but at the same time, if you're building a productive relationship with something that you want it to get to know you, so it satisfies your queries better, then that it's like it's a weird like all of this is a trade-off, right?
you know, and words are already very lossy, right? And so by the time it comes out of your head to the world, you've already run it through your own intelligence filters, and it's never really what you wanted it to be, or not communicating clearly or whatever. So if you can do the best of what you've got, as fuzzy as it is, with as little as you can, as few words as you can use to get the most out of it that you can, is all that we're trying to do at the same time, right? And so it's one of those things where I think that at least Google and Anti-Gravity and its models, it's like very fast, and it tends to do like a pretty good job at interpreting like a high level of intent with very little communication. And it just is is just so incredibly impressive to me that that like we live in an age where this is available to us and like can just do these things like lickety split, you know, without even really having to like provide it a whole lot of detailed instruction. And so like as a person who has spent a lot of time in code, it's like using all the WordPress hooks. It is escaping everything like by default. It's like using all the WordPress core functions that you would want to use to pass URLs through. It's doing like normal, easy for eaches. It's commenting code inline. It's like, it's doing a really good job of generating like kind of, like I know that it's like sloppy and WordPress as a whole judge its code base however you'd like to for being legacy and everything else too, but it really is doing like the
Following
best.
the standards.
Yes.
That's real important and super time consuming when we have to do it all by hand.
Yep, exactly. And like it came up with its own, it made a directory. It has the file name is the same name as the directory. It has all the assets listed in separate subfolders in CSS and JavaScript. For the admin picker, it's enqueuing it the way you would want to. It's versioning everything the way you would want to. It's checking abs path, which is one of those dumb WordPress things that you always have to do. It's like, it's doing everything. Like it even grabbed my author, like it grabbed me and it grabbed my blog handle. Like it knows who I am. Like it's like it figured it out without me having to say like, hey, this is me and this is what I'm doing. Like it went and it just knew to do those things already.
Are you using this to do front-facing themes as well?
So for the work that I do, not exactly for, but my job is weird. So in a sense, kind of, but if you wanted to see my actual job and what I do for work is a little bit weird, but we got time. But my equivalent of this is that normally for work I'm using Claude instead of anti-gravity, and then I have command line versions of Codex, Claude, anti-gravity, everything else. And then my workflow is that I usually have Claude come up with a plan, and then it sends the plan to Codex through the command line. It says, hey, like how bad is this plan? And then they'll go back and forth until they either agree or disagree, and then anti-gravity is their tiebreaker, and so if they can't agree, then one of them will go to anti-gravity and say, hey, here's our plan, what do you want to do? And then when they all have come to some kind of agreement, then they kick it back to me for review, and we look at what it is that they want to do, or how they want to do it, and then I'll send it back to Claude to go and actually do the blush, to go like write the code, do the work, try and like code whatever it is that we're trying to code. And then it's the same thing, then the loop is okay, Claude's done, send it to Codex, review the code, and then figure out how much you agree or disagree, reconcile where you're at, and then go on to the next step in the plan. And then I'll use anti-gravity if it needs to be like something that I'm comfortable letting it like this, like it built the whole thing. Like if I want it to go solo and I think that I can trust it to like not go a little bit too off the rails, then I'll send it off to anti-gravity and send it a task off that way. But then they all report back, and then I'll figure it out, usually via Claude code. But what I end up using it predominantly for is like fixing security issues that get reported through WordPress's HackerOne bounty program. And so when there is like a security issue that comes up where someone thinks they found a bug in WordPress itself, then that is my workflow, is I will ask Claude like, hey, here's this issue, this is what they sent, here's the details of it, can we verify it, can we reproduce it, is it valid, is it not, and then come up with a plan through one AI and send it to another AI to review it, and then just figure it out and whittle it away until we can resolve that security issue. And so thanks to AI, we like WordPress as a project went from getting like one issue a day to like 20 a day. And so it's just the amount of like security research that's going into the internet and open source projects and WordPress as a whole is just, you know, horizontally expanding very, very fast. And so projects like BuddyPress have some security issues in them now that people are finding, mostly the REST API, and then BBPress has a couple, and WordPress core has like, there's like 20 a day that are either with Gutenberg or WordPress itself, and there's like a lot of dupes because they're finding the same thing, right? The AIs are all finding the same bugs and then closing the dupes.
So how's the bounty determined then? If people are working parallel on the same bugs that they're discovering that used to be.
This is what I love about giving talks like this. Is the we get to go down the WordPress rabbit hole of everything, and so the way that we use HackerOne specifically, funnel everything in through HackerOne. It's a third-party piece of software on the web that is specifically for filing security bugs and bounties, and so we use it for anything that is WordPress or WordPress adjacent, so WordCamp.org, BuddyPress, BBPress, ClockPress, WordPress core itself, Gutenberg, and then anything that's like a WordPress canonical sort of plugin. Anything that is like automatic goes to their own bounty program. Anything that is not already running on open source on WordPress.org has its own other stuff from wherever. But the original reporter is usually the one that gets the bounty, and then the bounty dollar amount is usually just based off severity and the quality of the report. We have multipliers, so if some people will just report the bug and not include repro steps, not include specific details, they just say, hey, I found this bug. And their report quality might be low, but they did still do the right thing and reported it, and so they will qualify for a bounty. It's okay it's okay if you don't know how to fix it. Thank you for letting us know what you found, right? But if it's a really high quality report, then we might double it or triple it. If it's like they included reproduction steps, they included a Docker environment that you can run to like repro it every single time cleanly. Or if they're just like a high quality reporter and they're really nice, you give them an extra $100 or whatever, right? And so, you know, we can kind of tack that on if somebody does do a good job or provides a quality report. But for the most part, it's just by severity. And so it's severity and footprint, I guess I should say. And so if it is something that, like there's a bug right now that we fixed in BuddyPress that was in the REST API, that was in the private messages component, that was like very like environment specific, that like, okay, well, the footprint is small, the severity could be big, but that means you have to have BuddyPress installed, that component's activated, REST API is activated, because none of those things are by default, and so you turn that on, turn that on, turn that on, turn that on, and so all of a sudden the impact is like, you're talking about thousands of websites and not hundreds of thousands, or so, okay. So that might get you $500 or whatever it was, right? So not nothing, but not something that would be thousands of dollars for finding some like unauthenticated severe thing in WordPress itself that allows for site takeover or something. So, and thankfully those types of security issues are very few and far between, but they do happen.
The one from WordPress 7.02. Update
Not
now.
great. That is not great. But it happens, and the one thing that we are adapting to, and I guess we've got some time, right? Is like WordPress as a project has always been we've been very self-sufficient, I guess. Like we run track and Subversion not just for legacy reasons, but because we can self-host these things, and because we can own it. We own the servers, and we can trust that what we're doing is inside like the walled garden of WordPress itself. That worked really well for a really long time, but in a world of more and more open and more contributors and more security research and AI, then we have mirrors on GitHub, and so most of us do our work on Git or in GitHub, and then we have security forks or branches that are all of us working together on an issue on GitHub. And then once we are come to a conclusion or a decision on how we want to fix or ship that fix, then someone actually goes back into Subversion and commits it back to WordPress core itself and makes sure that everything lives there, where we will deploy, a new version of WordPress when it's time to ship a WordPress release. So all of the work, the majority of it now happens usually outside of Subversion and all the stuff that we've built up over time, and then we just push it back to our central canonical place when it's time to ship a new WordPress.
How much faster is that happening now?
Well, AI and Claude and GitHub has helped us work more quickly, but the process of shipping a WordPress release is still very, very manual. Primarily to just have like human eyes on all of the checks and balances before something propagates out into the world and auto updates, and so that is still like a checklist in Slack, and everyone goes through and like manually reviews and tests a lot of stuff just to double check what the machines are saying. So there's a lot of automation that happens through GitHub, and all the tests run and everything all, but then we still have a bunch of manual reviewers that go through, and then before, like, to ship a WordPress release, someone is doing the Subversion tagging and like running the command on their computer and like making sure it goes through, and something that is very, I don't know, cute about doing that. I like that a little bit, even though it's maybe not the way that we're gonna have everything working in the future, but for now, it is sort of a fun celebration to have everyone together and like, all right, we're shipping it at noon, everyone be here so we can all test and download it, install, and make sure everything is tons of eyes on it.
That's heartening.
But I don't know that it makes sense for it to always be that way or for it to stay that way. I think the more that we can, if we can keep the celebration and the joy of like doing a good job and shipping code and like having fun, but also still make it less nerve-wracking and like have it just be like very easy and trusting to like let the machines do the machine work, I think is better too. So 15 minutes between talks, so I guess technically I'm sort of done, but I also have time and happy to answer any WordPress related questions you may or may not have on or off the record while the GoPro is recording.
Can you go back to your anti-gravity?
Yes.
So
Thank you.
Thank you.
When I start a project, I normally am using anti-gravity IDE, but I'll pop up a terminal and throw Claude in there.
Yep. Yep.
Within the IDE.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And because I really like how Claude does the scaffolding basically, and then I use anti-gravity to do like CSS changes and smaller, or if I need an image generated, you got Nano Banana just right in there. It seems to be a really good flow for me. Do you ever use it in that way?
Not yet, because none of the work that I do requires a whole lot of like assets or creativity like that. Okay. The closest that I've got is just like having them all available at the command line, and then like letting them like go and just like talk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then only recently did I trust them with like my GitHub credentials, and so like
it's a big step.
Yeah, and it took a while for me to be comfortable like letting it go with that, but that would prove to be really, really useful, not for WordPress specifically, but for like other WordPress related work, not for WordPress core. I still feel like I have to like, but for other dumb stuff that's adjacent to it, it's been helpful.
Yeah. Cool.
So
whoever, yeah, whatever. Okay.
So I have all my WordPress sites on my own server. I don't have a local environment that I work in, because why would I? I have my own servers I can work on.
Sure. Yep.
Is there a way that I can like integrate this to say, here's the admin credentials, go do it on my server?
So that's a good question, and yes, but it kind of depends. So I haven't needed to do that yet, and maybe y'all might have a different answer to this question, but anti-gravity, it will, if you tell it to SSH into a server, and it will try to. So you can just tell it where things are, and you can talk back and forth with anti-gravity. If it can't get in, it'll say, hey, I'm having trouble, and you can kind of just coax it into getting into, like, if you're running a terminal in anti-gravity, it's just you on your computer running it locally on your Mac. So however you would typically access those WordPress sites, if it's through the command line or if it's through a web browser or however you would normally get to them, anti-gravity can orchestrate that. So you could, kind of like back in the day when you would send keys or mouse click your way through, it can do that, the equivalent of it. So yeah, it could run itself locally. You would use your laptop as sort of the proxy, and then it would just do the work however you would connect through it. And the personal experience version of that I have of that is comes from just my WordPress.org proxy connection, specifically just watching it like connect through all of the stuff that I need to do to proxy everything through my WordPress.org sandbox. It works remotely just fine. It's just doing the thinking and the interaction. That's like a thin client on my laptop, but it does all the actual work remotely through SSH. So that is at least the experience that I have of doing that, but your mileage may vary. How do you usually access stuff?
I mean, I've got the WordPress admin, and then I use an FTP program basically to upload things.
Sure. So it should be able to take control of your FTP program just fine and click through stuff and figure it out. I know it seems crazy, but it actually does a decent job figuring it out. Taking videos of it, it's gnarly. It's
hard time letting go of that stuff.
I totally understand, 100%. I totally get it, but
So if I wanted to run like on Windows, sort of a clone of my server running on my server PHP, what do you recommend running for a PC to do that?
So, I mean, there's the Flywheel, or not Flywheel anymore, what was it called? Local
by whoever owns it now.
Yeah. There's a piece of software called Local.
Okay.
And it is like basically a binary. It's just like it runs all of it locally. Your PHP, your Nginx, your MySQL, or MariaDB probably now. And then it just gives you a local server in in a little firewall sort of space. And that's the easiest way to get something set up and running locally. And that's really like the hurdle to AI and WordPress in general, is like the easier that WordPress can make spinning up a new website, is that solves a lot of the future WordPress sort of big level problems. Because right now you want to make a website, if you ask anti-gravity to make you a website, it's most likely not going to pick WordPress to do it. It'll pick Next.js or Astro or it'll some other thing, because it doesn't have all of that back-end overhead that WordPress has. So the easier that WordPress as a project can be to just like make spinning up that server, the whole back-end environment, as like easy as possible.
I use WP Toolkit with cPanel.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I haven't used it, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a good question though. Because that's the biggest challenge, I think, is getting all the backend stuff set up.
Do you use anti-gravity mainly in your sandbox first and then go before you go live, or do you go straight to your live?
Always locally sandbox something first, always, every time still. I don't ever have it, and anti-gravity specifically is because can be creative sometimes, and so I try to have it work locally or in a branch and kind of proofread whatever it comes up with before I
You have a separate, you
Yeah.
have a separate
Yep.
sandbox
Yep.
host setup, or do you use like a free host to set up your sandbox?
For me, I would just have everything locally sandboxed. I don't have like a pre-production step or something for pretty much anything that I do. There's one thing I use anti-gravity for, and it's just not on WordPress related, but I built a website for like a local business, a brewery where I live, and it doesn't use WordPress. It uses Next.js, and I just tell anti-gravity to build the thing that they asked me to build, and it just
Copy and paste the email.
basically, and then because it's just JavaScript and HTML, it's already kind of running locally. So I just look at what it came up with, and usually it's almost always great. And then I set up on the back end some other stuff to, like, when I push it to the GitHub repo, it automatically checks it and runs a bunch of tests and deploys it, whatever else. So, my laptop is usually my sandbox.